I have a domain, static IP address and many devices I'd like to access outside my house. How do I route them? I have a domain, for example, example.com, static IP address, for example, 212.5.5.5, and local devices at 192.168.0.1 column 80, 192.168.0.2 column 80, 192.168.0.3 column 80, 192.168.0.4 column 80, 192.168.0.4 column 47. This one is not a website. How do I access these devices using subdomains, for example, device1.example.com, device2.example.com, etc.? Currently I was only able to get example.com column 80 and example.com column 47 working, which point to 192.168.0.4 column 80 and 192.168.0.4 column 47. I know that you cannot set the port on DNS server. How I should overcome my problem?
You can have one public-facing server running Geek's reverse proxy that redirects traffic based on subdomain to the correct server. Geek's configuration on your main server.
You'll need to use alternate ports for everything except one of them. For example, 212.5.5.5:80 would forward to 192.168.0.1:80, but then 212.5.5.5:81 would forward to 192.168.0.2:80, and 212.5.5.5:82 would forward to 192.168.0.3:80, and so on. This should be configurable on most modern NAC devices. Another way, if you're willing to use IP6, is just turn on IP6 pass-through on your NAC device or router. That basically exposes every IP6 address on your LAN to the public internet, letting you access them directly from the outside. As you might imagine, there is some risk associated with this. It's up to you to decide if that risk is tolerable.
You shouldn't expose these services to the internet directly. You can't audit these devices to be sure they are secure, and merely exposing them leaks information about the state of your internal network. The correct solution is to set up a VPN server that grants you remote access to an internal network. Ideally, the internal network should be segregated from your main one, only used for these exposed devices. That limits the damage if they are hacked. Open source VPN software is mature, audited, and the security issues are well understood. You limit yourself to a much smaller attack surface.
You could first make sure everyone needs to access these services from internet equals that they are truly intended to be public. Otherwise, you could consider setting up a VPN server and access the services inside your network. I assume that the services which are on port 80 are web servers providing typical web services. In such a case, the reverse proxy solutions suggested in other answers apply. It may be that they are services which are prepared/intended to run with the SRV entry in your DNS. The idea is that you resolve a well-known record for a service, which in turn gives you the name port to connect to. So take the example of Minecraft. You set up your client to connect to minecraft.example.com. Your client knows that it can query Minecraft.tcp.minecraft.example.com. To get the actual IP and port to connect to. This is an extremely useful feature, but it has to be implemented on the client for the service you are accessing.
If you want to support the channel,